Welcome to Royal Rebounds TV with Calvin and Barry. Just two crazy fans of the Sacramento Kings, and they sharing their opinion. So be sure that you subscribe. It's for the fans, by the fans. Whether you chilling on the couch or wildin' in the stand. For laid back conversations about the Kings, subscribe here. Staying down until we come up thinking this gon' be our year. We're here, drinking beer, talking about the Kings. Be sure you subscribe so you can hear that bell ring, yeah. Royal Rebounds TV with Calvin and Barry. Just two crazy fans of the Sacramento Kings, and they sharing their opinion. So be sure that you subscribe. It's for the fans, by the fans. Whether you chilling on the couch or wildin' in the stand. For laid back conversations about the Kings, subscribe here. Staying down until we come up thinking this gon' be our year. We're here, drinking beer, talking about the Kings. Be sure you subscribe so you can hear that bell ring, yeah.
For the set on the 1 or 2. Easy. Hit the flip a check, call me who are you? Easy. Rapping for the set on the 1 or 2. Easy. Hit the flip a check, call me who are you? Easy. Rapping for the set on the 1 or 2. Easy. Hit the flip a check, call me who are you? Easy. Rapping for the set on the 1 or 2. Easy. Hit the flip a check, call me who are you?
Yo, it's cause we family, that don't mean that we close. I judge you off your actions solely, not like the most. Speaking with a clear tone, Satan flow like hell's home. And I ain't never caring like a white racist with a cell phone. Shit, think they really ready? I swear to Akinelli. I spit that flow that be harder than 20 Machiavellis. I roll up on your set, focus on the mission. That's no cap, like in the finest clubs to get admission. Skyscrapers overlooking the city luxurious. I don't mean to judge, but I'm bragging, see what the jury does. It's low-key materialism, go ahead and make a wish. My appetite for destruction, that be my favorite dish. Ain't in the mood for discussion, I'd rather make a diss. This introduction be bumping, go ahead and make it switch. SK Sparks and Dream Chaos with the bi-coastal. I swear to God on my mama that I ain't for the social. These people ignorant, really what's the sentiment? The rich and wealthy treated better than the poor and innocent. That's just a cycle of life, no hesitation precise. It's like we rolling them dice, we always saying goodnight. Easy, reppin' for the set on the 1 or 2. Easy, hit the flip a check, homie, who are you? Easy, reppin' for the set on the 1 or 2. Easy, hit the flip a check, homie, who are you? Easy, reppin' for the set on the 1 or 2. Easy, hit the flip a check, homie, who are you? Easy, reppin' for the set on the 1 or 2. Easy, hit the flip a check, homie, who are you? Reppin' for the set on the 1 or 2. Quick to flip a check, homie, who are you? Reppin' for the set on the 1 or 2. Quick to flip a check, homie, who are you? Reppin' for the set on the 1 or 2. Quick to flip a check, homie, who are you? Reppin' for the set on the 1 or 2. Quick to flip a check, homie, who are you?
Royal Rebounds TV with Calvin and Barry. Just two crazy fans of the Sacramento Kings, and they sharing their opinion. So be sure that you subscribe. It's for the fans, by the fans. Whether you chilling on the couch or wildin' in the stand. For laid back conversations about the Kings, subscribe here. Staying down until we come up thinking this gon' be our year. We're here, drinking beer, talking about the Kings. Be sure you subscribe so you can hear that bell ring, yeah.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Royal Rebounds TV. We are so excited to be celebrating this post-game Sacramento Kings win over the LA Lakers, making them preseason.
Yes,
Calvin and I are here live on the Royal Rebounds Podcast. As you can see, Calvin is on the road doing recruiting and other fun things, so he is joining us remotely. Welcome, Calvin.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to have my scouting report ready for Monty by the end of the week. So I am on the road. I'm up late. but I enjoyed a Kings win as every other Kings fan did. 4-0.
Calvin, move up a little bit. We can't see your beautiful arms.
Oh yeah? Can you see me now?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, good.
All right, welcome everybody in the chat. We got Tanvir here. We got Marcus.
Shout out Tanvir.
Shout out everybody. Welcome to the show. Let us know how you feel in the chat about another Kings victory. The Lakers are 0-6. The Kings are 4-0. Capping off a victory tonight, 116-112. And beautiful win, Calvin. Beautiful win, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this was a great preseason finale for the Kings, right? Because first of all, it's the dress rehearsal, whatever, the precursor to the regular season, the last chance to get your feet wet before the regular season starts. And they got to play finally some stiff competition. All these other preseason games, everybody sat. Chris Paul, Devin Booker sat. Kawhi Leonard obviously sat. Marcus Morris Sr., Serge Ibaka. All these guys were out. Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum. Tonight, they actually get a real taste of what it's like to play NBA basketball. LeBron goes for 30, and the Kings withstand it, and they come out victorious. So this was a great team win.
Yeah, huge victory. No Marvin Bagley tonight. No Horton Tucker and no Ariza for the Lakers. All I got to say is there's too many Lakers fans in the stands. I thought we were watching a home game. I saw Lakers jerseys everywhere. That's garbage, man. Too many Lakers in the Kings house tonight. So we got to get rid of those. We need more Kings fans to show up and support the team. Want to remind you all, if it's your first time to the channel, Calvin and I put out Kings content all the time. We love the Kings. So if you'd love to join the Royal family, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. And while you're down there, make sure you hit that like button. Like this video so that more Kings fans can see it. We love to hear from you all, so make sure you interact in the chat with us. Hit us down in the comments section. Let us know how you feel. The reason we do this is so that Kings fans can have a voice. They don't talk about us enough on ESPN, so we got to do it here instead. Want to remind you all that I will be on Sacktown Pete's channel tomorrow evening, breaking down some some predictions for the season and what to expect from your Sacramento Kings. If you do not know about Sacktown Pete, he has an awesome channel on YouTube. He does post games, he does all sorts of interviews and stuff like that. So make sure you guys give him a follow as well, or a subscribe.
That's right. Shout out Sacktown Pete.
All right, so let's dive here into the main subject, Kings versus Lakers. A couple amazing stats that I heard watching this game. We all know that the Lakers team is absolutely stacked this year. It looks like not even an all-star team. It looks like an Olympic team roster. You got
really
Russell Westbrook, you got LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, you got Dwight Howard, DeAndre Jordan, Anthony Davis. I'm sure I'm missing more players than that. But an amazing stat I heard is this Lakers team has a combined 56 all-star appearances. That is outrageous. That is outrageous. So two notable highlights for the Kings. Mo Harkless and Tyrese Haliburton both entered into the starting five tonight, so they were both available. Buddy Hield did come off the bench. And Kent Bazemore, we got to see him a little bit. Fan favorite a year and a half ago before he went on to join the Warriors. So, Calvin, how'd you feel about this game?
Well, you have to feel great, right, if you're a Kings fan. I mean, this was, like I said at the top of the show, this was the statement game of the preseason, right? They got to play against some real competition. They withstood all the runs. It was a back-and-forth game. And the Kings played this game, honestly, the same way that they've played all of their preseason games. They were hitting threes. They were in rhythm offensively, and they got stops when they needed to. You know, they mixed up the lineups. Terence Davis, I can't say enough good things about Terence Davis in this preseason. He really has been the shining star to me for this team, you know, because I kind of knew what to expect from everybody else, but he has played absolutely lights out. 20 points again tonight. He's shooting with confidence. He's playing aggressively defensively, and I really think that this guy could be a key component for the Kings moving forward because of the fact that he's down, pretty low in the depth chart, and they don't necessarily have to expect a major amount from him on a night-to-night basis, but he's proven in these last 4 games that he's going to bring it, and I think that he is going to take a step up for this season. So I'm very excited about Terence Davis.
Yeah, and he's only 24 years old. The Kings were able to pick him up from the Toronto Raptors for not a lot. And, you and I had both talked last year about whether DeLon Wright or Terence Davis was going to be back this year. I think the Kings made the right decision. And,
I agree.
When you and I were watching this game, it's funny, we're miles and miles apart, but we're still watching the games together. And you mentioned you were watching Sacktown Pete's podcast a couple nights ago, and he mentioned that Terence Davis is like a Bobby Jackson type for this Kings team. You want to let the fans know what your thoughts are on that?
Yeah, I saw a post on Twitter actually from Sacktown Pete that said Terence Davis equals Bobby Jackson with 3 fire emojis after it. And I really think there's a lot of truth to that statement. Are they the exact same type of player? No, not necessarily. Terence Davis is an overall better shooter, I would say, at least at this point in his career. Bobby Jackson may be a better individual defender, but Terence Davis is still great on the defensive end. But I think that there's a lot of truth to that statement in that Terence Davis is going to provide the type of energy off the bench that Bobby Jackson provided for the Kings some 18, 19, 20 years ago. I think there's a lot of truth and a lot of comparisons that can be made to that statement. And, the Kings bench is something that I've been really impressed with overall. I think they have a lot of sixth men type quality players in terms of, they got Davion Mitchell off the bench, Buddy Hield off the bench. It would be a starter on a lot of NBA teams. But I really think that Terence Davis is morphing himself into the X Factor type player that's going to come off the bench for the Kings this season.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think that the comparison is not exact all the way across the board, but I think, Terence Davis is a little bit better shooter than Bobby Jackson. He might not be as good of a defender at this point in his career, but he's a little bit bigger. He's lengthier. He's got the same energy that he's bringing there. And, I think that he could have a very, very similar impact to what Bobby Jackson had on that really, really good Kings team. And, shout out to Bobby Jackson. He did an awesome job coaching the Summer League team. I know he's now down with the Stockton Kings. So it's good to see these ex-players getting involved. I know we saw Peja as part of the front office, and we all saw Vlade and all that. And unfortunately, they didn't have much success there. But it's really cool seeing these ex-players come back and having success with the franchise. And, you see Doug Christie now joining the coaching staff, and hopefully he's bringing, some more winning and some more energy to the coaching staff that's already here in Sacramento. And we saw him, mentoring a guy like Marvin Bagley, who we all know needs a little boost right now and needs some more confidence. So, it's just so cool to see them getting involved there. So, Calvin, I know you talked about the bench depth and all that. There's a few guys on the bench here that seem to be playing pretty well. We have obviously Davion Mitchell, Buddy Hield. We have Terence Davis. It's still we still haven't seen whether Marvin is going to be coming off the bench for the majority of this year or whether he's going to be starting. I think that's really matchup dependent. But do you think that one of these guys could make a run for Sixth Man of the Year this year? And which one do you think would be the favorite?
Wow, that's a tough question. I definitely think that one, if not multiple of these guys will make a run at Sixth Man of the Year. My biggest takeaway from the preseason for the Kings is without a doubt the overall depth that they have on this team and the bench, the level of bench play, I think is going to be a lot better than most of the teams out there in the NBA. I think there are so many different lineup combinations that the Kings can throw at people. And having a guy like Buddy Hield, for example, who has been a starter, has been a legit rotation player, played big time minutes for not just the Kings, but multiple franchises across the NBA, is going to be a huge boost to them. So, if he comes out and he shoots 42% from three for the year, he's going to average, 17, 18 points a game. Does that make him a legit six-man contender? Absolutely. You could look at Davion Mitchell and say the exact same thing. He has the potential to average those similar numbers, 15 to 16, 17 points a game. He's going to be an efficient scorer. And you know what he's going to bring on defense, too. He could average 1.5 to 2 steals a game, potentially, depending on how many minutes he plays. And Terence Davis, I think, has to be in that conversation, too. I really think he played himself deep into the rotation in this preseason. It's clear that Luke Walton trusts him. He wants to use him, in all different types of lineups. And he is a microwave type scorer. He can go out there and hit 3-4 threes in a row. And we've seen in these past couple preseason games how he's going to bring it on defense too. The other night against Portland, he had a streak where he scored, assisted, or stealed on just about 90% of the possessions to start the fourth quarter. So I think they're loaded all across the board on their bench depth, which overall will probably hurt them in terms of an individual six-man type candidate. But any of those three guys could be in the running. I really think that.
Yeah, and we saw Alex Len coming off the bench and helping out some of the big men in the rotation too. So really exciting to see there. I know the talk of the town over the past month or so has been this 3-guard lineup or the small ball lineup for the Sacramento Kings. We didn't see too much of that tonight. The Lakers are a huge team. They have
Very
a lot of big
dependent game. Yeah.
They have a lot of big men, as we mentioned, Dwight Howard, Anthony Davis, DeAndre Jordan. We saw Dwight pick up 4 quick fouls in the first half tonight, right, after playing
and
pretty
don't
well.
Forget LeBron James too. I mean, he's a big dude himself, so
yeah. And the Kings rolled out a smaller lineup in the third quarter, and they started getting behind a little bit. Luke's quickly changed from that and helped get the lead back again. So I think just having such a deep team really gives them the opportunity to adjust according to these teams, whether they're playing a bigger team, whether they're playing a smaller team, whether they need to run up and down the court, whether they need to focus on defense. Last year we talked about, the Kings lose games when they give up 120 points plus, and they were giving up a ton of points. There was a ton of games where they gave up over 120. I know they gave up 112 tonight, which is not ideal, but, they still played good defense. They played together, and they did win the game. But let's take a look at the box score here. For the Lakers tonight, as you mentioned, LeBron James, 30 points, incredible.
By far his best game of the preseason. No surprise. It's the game before the regular season starts. He's ready to go. So
yeah, and he's a plus 17 on the box score. 18 big points for Russell Westbrook, and 15 points for Carmelo off the bench. I think
Anthony shot very well.
I think Anthony Davis struggled a little bit tonight, 5 of 18 from the field, 14 points. He was minus 22 in the box score. I know a lot of guys have been hating on Anthony Davis lately, saying that the Lakers need to trade him for another star. I'm still a big Anthony Davis fan, and I think that he's very, very underrated still. But it is interesting to see him. Yeah, it's just interesting to see him, kind of take a step back and I don't know, what do you think looks different about him? Is he just not being as aggressive? Is he not having the opportunities, or what do you think's going on with him?
I really think it's a combination of a lot of things. First of all, you have to consider he was hurt a lot last year, right? And he carried that into the playoffs, and he didn't perform very well in the postseason because of those injuries. Second of all, you're basically 2 years now, or a year and a half, or whatever you want to call it, removed from them winning the championship in the bubble. And he played lights out in that postseason, as you would expect from him. So in a very short period of time, you've come from, if you're in Anthony Davis's shoes, you've gone from the standpoint of basically LeBron a couple years ago said, this is his team, right? He is going to take over. He's my heir apparent, all that stuff. Now you fast forward to today, all of a sudden you've got Russell Westbrook on this team. You've got Carmelo Anthony on this team. Dwight Howard has come back. Rajon Rondo has come back. You've got all these different guys in the mix now. So I wonder if, especially because it's in the preseason and we're trying to get all these guys integrated into the Laker system, the overall level of play, these guys are all trying to feel out each other. And I think that Anthony Davis is, because he's such a great player, because he is a team leader, he's kind of maybe taken a back seat to that because he wants to get these other guys going on the team. Once we get in, 10, 20 games into the regular season, I think they'll find their chemistry. They'll find their, right way to play. And you'll see the Anthony Davis of old, assuming that he's healthy, right? That's the biggest thing. But I really think that those are the two main factors. You've gone from, this is my team in the postseason, I'm carrying them because it's just me and LeBron, to all of a sudden now we've got all these other pieces. We've got to get them into the system. We've got to make it look good. We've got to figure out how to play together. So,
yeah, this Lakers team has so much talent on it. Unfortunately, for us Kings fans, we got to enjoy 0-6 Lakers while we can. We got to enjoy this team struggling as we can. It's so frustrating watching this team. It's such a whirlwind of emotions because, you see these guys that you enjoy watching, like, Russell Westbrook, Anthony Davis, Rondo, Carmelo, even LeBron, and then they end up later in their careers on the Lakers, which is obviously the most hated team in the league from a Kings fan perspective. And then you end up having to root against these guys that you've really liked watching for so long.
Yeah.
So I guess we just have to enjoy this while we can. I think we're playing them again in November, so let's just be happy we got another victory tonight. So I want to look here at the Kings box score. 15 big points tonight from Harrison Barnes, 3 for 8 from three-point range, 15 from Richaun Holmes, 10 rebounds, 21 big points from De'Aaron Fox. I know I hear you shouting later in the game, De'Aaron Fox has taken this game over. We all talked about how much weight he added this offseason, how much stronger he is. But, I saw him miss a couple of free throws early on in the game, and I was getting a little worried there. But, once the end of the game came, once it was crunch time, De'Aaron Fox really stepped up his game, and I was so happy to see that. What's the biggest difference that you saw from De'Aaron Fox in this preseason?
I think it's just, it sounds simple, but and I felt like this was the same last year, but I feel like it's taken on more of an effect this year, in that the game has just slowed down for him so much. Obviously, he's one of the fastest, if not the fastest player in the league, so he already has that advantage in general. But I really feel like he's focused on getting to his spots on the floor, to where he knows that he's going to be the most efficient player, whether it's to look to score from that spot, or to set up a teammate. He really is very decisive with where he wants to be on the court and where he wants to go with the ball. So I would say that is definitely the biggest leap I think that he's taken, whether it's to get into that short mid-post range so that he can use that turnaround fadeaway, which, let's be honest, if you're a guard and you're one of the elite guards in the NBA, the final step to making yourself one of those premier players in the NBA is to add that post-up game, right? And It looks like he has added that this season, or not added that this season, but he's really completed the transformation process in that aspect of his game. So
yeah, and you
love to see the free throws too. He shot really well from the free throw line in the preseason, which was a big area of struggle for him last year.
Yeah, and it's funny, saying that one of the fastest players, if not the fastest player in the game, that the game has slowed down for him, right? Like,
right.
But it's true,
But
you know,
it's true.
like
Yeah.
as fast as you are, you know, you have to do what you can do within your ability. And it doesn't matter if you can get across the court this fast. If you're open and you blow the layup, you know, it's all for nothing. So it's really cool
Absolutely.
seeing the game slow down for him a little bit, and yeah, picking his spots, getting to his spot when he takes a bad shot or something doesn't go his way. He doesn't put his head down. He turns right around, runs back down the court,
Right.
gets a good defensive possession, and then attacks again. So love to see that
Totally.
here.
And,
Tyrese
what did we hear him say during media day, right? The thing that stuck out to me the most from his media day interview was they asked him, what did you focus on this offseason? What are you doing to get better as a player? The first thing he said was, I want to be a more efficient scorer, which is an incredibly specific thing to say, first of all. You know, a lot of players will say, well, I want to get to, you know, better with my offhand, or I want to do this particular move better, something like that. No, he specifically said, I want to be a more efficient scorer. And you can see that in the types of shots that he's taking on the floor on a regular basis. You know, he is shooting threes with more regularity because he can hit them with more regularity, but he's not just forcing outside shots up for no reason. He's getting to his spots on the floor. He's using that mid-range post up. And I also feel like he's become a better leader for this team too. You know, he recognizes that it doesn't have to be all on his shoulders. He's got guys like Tyrese. He's got guys like Davion Mitchell who can also go and get a shot for themselves. And he's not getting in the way of that, which is a very mature type of thing for a player to recognize, you know?
Yeah, I totally agree. He's very self-aware, and he's very just cognizant of the moment, of his team, of what's required of him. And as I've been saying all along, he wants to be in Sacramento. He wants to win with this team. We're finally starting to add more young players that feel the same way. And I'm really feeling something grow here in Sacramento. So I'm really, really excited about that. So we take a look here at Tyrese Haliburton. 23 minutes tonight, only 8 points. He did have a huge three towards the end of the game. And then, you know, as far as Davion Mitchell, 30 minutes tonight, only 6 points. But I feel like both of these guys really had a huge impact on the game. Although it wasn't scoring or showing up really on the box score, these guys had huge impacts. And that's what you love to see from this team, is just having guys that are there that do all the little things that help them win games. And they're not worried. You know, Tyrese Haliburton's not talking after the game like, oh, I only scored 8 points tonight. I wish I would have got more shots, or I wish I would have got more opportunities. He's happy they won the game. And same with Davion Mitchell. This guy is a winner all 4 years in college. I know they were talking about it during the game after they won the national championship. He didn't go celebrate. He flew right back home. He called up one of the freshmen on the team and he said, hey, man, you want to make the league? Let's go get back in the gym. And he started working out again. So really, really happy to have guys like that on the team. And that does make De'Aaron Fox's job a little bit easier because the whole weight of the team is not on him. He has other guys that are willing to step up. And, you know, as we mentioned in the last game, Davion Mitchell shot lights out and De'Aaron Fox didn't score a lot. But they're happy for each other. They wanted the win. It's funny, in the comments we had someone, I'm paraphrasing here, but he said, are you guys concerned that Davion or Tyrese could potentially pass De'Aaron Fox and become a better player than him? And I think that is the least of my concern. You know, De'Aaron Fox is clearly the best player on this team. And if Davion or if Tyrese is anywhere close to him or passes him, that's great news for the Sacramento Kings, right?
Absolutely. That's a best case scenario by far. And even if they don't surpass him, if they come anywhere close, you know, that's just like you said, the franchise, the team is moving in the right direction. And let's be honest, you cannot win in today's NBA with one great player.
Yep.
a lot of teams can't win with two great players.
Yep.
You need that third great player. That's why we talk about big threes all the time. That's why we see all these guys go to Brooklyn and see all these guys go to the Lakers and the Clippers. It's because you have to have a complete team to win in the NBA. And the Kings, maybe they're not on that level as we stand today, but they're working towards that. You need all these extra pieces. You can't do it with one guy.
Yep, totally agree. I want to do a quick shout out to a couple guys joining us in the chat here. Derek, welcome. Joseph, Davis High School for life. You got it. Calvin and I are both alumni from the school.
That's right. Go Blue Devils.
Right. Skip and Tosh, you were at the game tonight. That's awesome. I wish I was too, but I can only imagine what the energy was like. Calvin and I had a great time over the weekend at FanFest. We were both there, just enjoying the moment. It feels good to be back in Golden One Arena. So I could only imagine what the energy was like tonight and what it will be on the 22nd for opening night as well. So back here into the box scores, we're on Buddy Hield, 25 points tonight, 3 for 8 from three-point range, 13 points. But the biggest number that jumps out for me for Buddy Hield tonight is plus 30 in the plus or minus. That's incredible, right? I don't think I've ever seen Buddy Hield have a plus or minus like that, right, Cal?
Yeah, I can't remember seeing that. I mean, that stat is a little misleading. You know, we don't have to get too deep into it with plus or minus. I'm not the biggest fan of that stat overall. That just means he was on the floor with the right combination of people at the right time, you know, obviously. But as far as Buddy Hield is concerned, having a weapon like that that's going to come off the bench for you regularly, if he really is buying into that role, which it seems like he is, all he's focused on is winning. Him and Coach Walton seem to have mended any type of, discrepancy that they had in their relationship. And that's only going to benefit the Kings tenfold for the rest of the season. If you got a guy who is one of the best shooters in the entire league coming off your bench.
Yeah. I think Buddy Hield has definitely buried everything with Coach Walton and Monty McNair. It's water under the bridge. I've said from day one, Buddy Hield is a professional, and that's a great thing about him is you don't have to worry about a Ben Simmons type drama or anything like that. You know, Buddy Hield's a baller. He loves to play basketball. He's going to show up to work, and he's going to do his job. You and I have both been, we've both talked about Buddy Hield and his lack of defense and what we'd like to see more out of him. But, you know, a lot of people forget last year there's only one player in the league that made more threes than Buddy Hield, and that was Steph Curry. So having a guy like that available to come off the bench, even though he didn't start, he played 25 minutes tonight. He's going to be put in different situations, adding guys like Tristan Thompson, Davion Mitchell, bringing back Alex Len. Having some guys on the team that can play defense around him is definitely going to help, I guess, hide the things that he's not good at. We saw that team built around Allen Iverson with the Philadelphia 76ers, with just Mutombo and all these defensive juggernauts where you give Allen the ball on offense, he does his thing, and then they play team defense together and they try and hide him on the defensive end of the ball. So, you know, I could see something like that with Buddy Hield, but, you know, the important part is whoever scores more is going to win the game. You have a guy like Buddy Hield, he can make threes. Threes are worth more than two. He's going to be there when you need him, at the end of the game, the middle of the game, whenever you need a bucket. You can throw Buddy Hield out there on the court, and you know he's going to get it up there. It's crazy looking at his stats from the season. He shot almost the same from three-point range as he did from two-point range. So, you know, I'm not really going to be wanting layups or a lot of that other stuff from Buddy Hield, any mid-range shots. I'm just going to be wanting three-pointers, and that's perfectly fine for me.
Absolutely. And that's what you're going to get from him. I mean, there's a reason we talked about it on a previous podcast, but 71 or 72, something like that % of his entire field goal attempts are from three. So that's why you're going to see the similar shooting percentages from two and from three, because almost all of his shots are coming from three. But that's okay, because that's his role on this team. And I really think that with this team in particular, he's not going to be asked to do more than what he needs to do. You know, it's kind of like the Duncan Robinson situation in Miami. I realize Duncan Robinson is a starter, has been a starter on that team. But they, you know, play, at least up until this season, they play a better overall team style of defense than the Kings do. So they can hide Duncan Robinson better than Buddy Hield has been able to hide on defense in the past. But it's a very similar type of role. He is out there for, both of those guys are out there for one thing and one thing only. And that's to, when you get the ball and you have a sliver of opening from outside, it goes up. And I think the Kings team overall is deep enough to where Buddy Hield this is the true role that he's meant to play in the NBA. You can argue whether he should be a starter or shouldn't be a starter, but this is the style of basketball that he's supposed to play. He's going to go 3 for 13 from 3 on some nights. He's going to go 6 for 8 from 3 on other nights. But he's going to be that microwave type player that can get you multiple buckets, big buckets in a short amount of time in key situations.
Exactly. And I think, you know, what everyone wants to knock on with Buddy Hield is the contract, and he's making this much money. But, you know, you have to understand we're a small market team. To get players to Sacramento, you have to do different things. You have to be willing to pay guys. And when you have a guy like Richaun Holmes on a team-friendly deal, when you have rookies that are stepping up like Davion Mitchell, when you have a young Tyrese Haliburton still on his rookie contract, you're able to overpay a guy like Buddy Hield to come off the bench and be available for certain situations, and that is to make the 3 ball. So I am totally okay with that. And speaking of 3 balls, I got to say my player of the game tonight shot 6 for 13 from 3-point range, 20 big points in 26 minutes, and that is Terence Davis. Calvin, you want to break down the game from Terence Davis, and you want to let people know what you expect from Terence Davis this upcoming season?
Well, I kind of alluded to it when we first came on this live show, but Terence Davis really has impressed me a ton in this short amount of time in this preseason. I feel like out of everybody on this team, he is the guy that has taken the biggest step forward in his game. It looks like he feels incredibly comfortable. He's putting up threes with ease. He's shooting the ball really well. He's playing with a high level of energy. He is going back and forth between the 1 and the 2 so far for the Kings in this preseason. I think he's a very adaptable player, can handle the ball, is the type of guy that can get downhill, get to the basket really well. So, you know, when the Kings are rolling out a lineup that doesn't have De'Aaron Fox out there, that doesn't have Davion Mitchell, maybe Tyrese is out there, this just adds another dimension to that offense in that they have another guy that can both get to the basket and hit threes from the outside. But his defensive awareness, his defensive effort has really been impressive to me as well. So, like I said, I think he's taken the biggest step forward. And for a guy who is probably not in the second line of rotation, but in the third line of rotation in terms of depth chart, he gives the Kings a huge leg up, because having a guy who's third on your depth chart at point guard or shooting guard who can play like that, come in and give you 20 points in 18, 19 minutes, not a lot of teams have that guy.
Yeah. And as Joseph says, he has the grit and the passion that you can't teach. Yep. And that is 100%
and you mentioned
true.
It came from Toronto, experienced nothing but winning in the very short amount of time that he was there. So, you know, he already has that ingrained in his mind. And now he comes to Sacramento, he gets paired with a guy like Davion Mitchell and De'Aaron Fox and Tyrese, who are hungry to get this team winning again. And that's, you know, that's already what he's experienced in the NBA. So
Exactly. What's up, Carlos? Welcome. Shout out from Mexico City. Dwight Howard was trying to hurt some people tonight. We saw him get that flagrant one on Harrison Barnes. He came down hard on him. I know I know Dwight Howard is just trying to block shots, but that was uncalled for. So everybody, welcome. Everyone that's just joining in now, welcome to Royal Rebounds TV. Calvin and I are doing Kings-Lakers postgame. The Kings win another one, 4-0 this preseason after a Summer League championship. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button to join the Royal family. Next Friday, Calvin and I will be debuting season number 2 of the Royal Report. It's an ESPN type show where we break down everything about your Sacramento Kings. We do it every Friday. We're going to be doing a few podcasts a week, post games. We're going to be having fun. We're going to be drinking beers, and we're going to be rooting for the Kings and making sure that they make the playoffs this season. Speaking of which, I just placed a bet over this last weekend on the over. Kings are listed at 35.5 games. I bet $100. It pays $265. I'm taking the over. I think the Kings are going to make at least the play-in game, and I think
that should be an easy over. Easy, over.
Easy money. And it's funny. I saw after the game they were showing odds on Rookie of the Year. They got plus 2,000 for Davion Mitchell. I wish I would have put a bet on that one. Who knows? Maybe I will. We'll see about that. Let us know how you feel in the chat about Davion winning Rookie of the Year this season. All right, so Calvin, we broke down Kings-Lakers. Anything else you want to say about that game? We talked about, the Lakers are huge, the Kings are deep, and the Kings prevailed tonight. But anything else you want to talk about that Kings-Lakers matchup?
Well, I think just to reiterate points that we've already made, I really think that this was essential for the Kings to play the Laker lineup that they played tonight going into the regular season. All 3 of those other preseason games, they took on basically the B or the C squad from whichever team they were playing, whether it was Portland or Phoenix or whatever. They didn't really see the top guys. They didn't play those meaningful minutes in it, and they didn't really have much of a challenge either. They were up 19 to 20 to even 30 points in all of those other games. Because they rolled out their starters and they played, a complete lineup. So I think that this was a very important preseason game. If you can have something like that, under your belt to play these guys. LeBron came out and had a great game. He had 30 points. So it felt like a regular season game. And I think that's going to be very important, whether the Kings won or lost. They did hold on to win this game, which is great. But I think that is an important step for the Kings to take moving into the regular season.
Yeah, and it'll be exciting. We got 2 matchups against the Lakers, November 26th in LA, which I know you and I, our actually last game we went to was December of 2019 in LA against the Lakers. We sat in the lower level. I remember Peja and Vlade were right across from us. We were the
right
only guys
next to us
wearing Kings gear, and they stiffed us, right? We were waving at them, and
they sure did.
They didn't even look our direction. So thanks
a
lot for that.
That was the LeBron dunk on Bielitsa game that everybody remembers.
Yes, I remember that one. I saw an NFT. They were launching a NFT on NBA Top Shots for that play. I almost put a bid on that one. And then we have November 30th in Sacramento. Lakers are visiting the Kings. Do you think that, I know it's only one game and it's a preseason game, but Cal, I want to hear your prediction for these 2 games.
For the Laker game specifically?
Yes.
Wow. Very tough question. I'm going to say that the Kings split those 2 games. Obviously, I think they have a team that can compete with the Lakers on a nightly basis. But let's be honest, we're talking about one of the best, if not the best, rosters / teams in the entire league with, like you mentioned at the top of the show, 56 combined all-star appearances across the whole team. This team is no joke. I mean, there's a reason why a lot of people are picking them to win the title this year. So it will be no small feat for the Kings to win both of those games. But do they have a team that can compete with the Lakers? I do think they do, absolutely. Guys like Tristan Thompson will be very important, not just because he's a veteran. He's played with LeBron. He's won championships, but because he's also a big guy. You know, you mentioned that the Lakers are a really big team, and I do love the 3-guard lineup. I love small ball. I love pushing the pace, getting out and running, but that isn't going to work probably for the course of an entire game against a team like the Lakers that can throw out big after big after big. So guys like Metu, guys like Thompson, even Damian Jones, maybe in certain situations, they're going to be big for the Kings. And I'll say that they split those 2 games.
Yeah, and I think it's also going to depend on health. You know, all these big names on the Lakers.
100%.
But they're
100%.
also a very old team, right? So we might not see their full lineup. They're both early on in the season. We know LeBron's been resting some games, taking some time off so that he's fresher, closer to the playoffs. So I'm going to go 2-0 on my prediction.
We also know that the Lakers don't want to end up the 7th seed like they did last year, right? They want to avoid that at all costs. So I think you're going to see a steady diet of all these guys very early on. But
that's true. Joseph wants to know if you're being held hostage.
If I'm being held hostage? I am not. I purposely have my background blurred. Joseph, I am not being held hostage. I'm here on my own will. If you missed us at the start of the show, I'm actually on a scouting trip. I'm not going to disclose my location because I don't want to get anything leaked. Monty's counting on me here to get some good reports, but I am 100% okay not being held hostage.
You are in a college town. We're not going to say which one, but you are in a college town.
I am. Big college town.
All right. Good to know there. All right. So Davion needs to work on his timing on his timeouts. Let's see here. Yeah. I mean, he hasn't even played an official NBA game yet. So we'll give him some time. As long as he doesn't pull a Fab Five, timeout, we should be okay there.
Oh man.
Let's see.
Love to bring that up, don't you?
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do. Carlos says Davion is undefeated, and apparently Davion hasn't lost a game in almost 2 years. Wow, that's amazing.
Well, I'm not sure that's true. I'm pretty sure Baylor lost at least 2 games last year, but he hasn't lost any very, very important or elimination games or championship games.
Yes.
In 2 years. So
let's jump ahead here to Kings Blazers, October 20th. That is next Wednesday in Portland. I know we saw the Kings defeat the Blazers recently, but there was no CJ McCollum. There was no Damian Lillard.
Going to be a much different look on opening night.
It is, a much different team. They brought in some talent this offseason. They made a couple trades. So how do you
got a lot
about
younger too, the Blazers. I feel like the Blazers were one of the more veteran teams in the league over the past couple of years. They really got a lot younger this year. Whether they did all they need to do to keep Damian Lillard happy, that remains to be seen. But all I can say is I'm excited to go into this game to see how our guards, the Kings guards, match up defensively against the Trailblazers guards, right? Dame and CJ are 2 of the best in the game, both within the team offense and individual offense, getting their own shot. So I would really love to see how the Kings go about matching up with them individually. How much is Davion Mitchell going to be on one of those 2 guys? Is De'Aaron Fox going to check Damian Lillard for most of the game? That's Portland's team. Those 2 guys right there. We saw Damian Lillard almost single-handedly win a playoff game last year, scoring 55 against Denver. So I'm just excited to see them match up defensively and how effective they're going to be against those guys, 2 of the best in the league.
And we've seen during this whole preseason, we've seen, at least one guy on the Kings team get hot every game, right? Like we had De'Aaron Fox light it up against the Suns. Then we had Davion Mitchell, making a bunch of threes. Tonight it was Terence Davis. What can we expect from this bench? What can we expect from these guys? And who is going to light it up against the Blazers? We don't know, but the Kings team is so deep. They have so many different options. So it's really cool to see the potential of this team, and they're just starting to blossom now. So I'm excited for that game. It's going to be a hell of a matchup, and hopefully Kings win, huh?
Oh yes, absolutely. We got to keep the streak alive, right? 9-0 since Summer League. So
Still trying to figure out if Calvin is wearing
Hello?
a Kings hat.
I am not wearing a hat.
He's not wearing
at
a
all.
hat. I'm wearing a hat. It is a Kings hat. It is a Hawaii-themed Kings hat. They're rare and hard to find. Someone's bringing up Terence Davis here. Yes, Terence Davis had an incredible game tonight. 6 threes. Calvin was mentioning earlier.
Incredible preseason overall.
Yeah, and end of last season. Calvin was mentioning earlier he saw a tweet by Sacktown Pete talking about a comparison between Bobby Jackson and Terence Davis. Cal, you want to give another take on that one?
Yeah, like I said before, I think there's a lot of truth to that statement, a lot of comparisons you can make. I think you can probably say the same things about Davion Mitchell, but it's a great problem for the Kings to have, right? They have 2 of these guys, if not 3, if you're including Buddy Hield in terms of what he can do coming in off the bench and scoring a lot in short spurts. But Terence Davis and Davion Mitchell both, they bring the exact same type of energy, defensive effort. They can make plays on both ends of the court that Bobby Jackson brought to the Kings back in the early 2000s and eventually won 6th Man of the Year for the Kings. So I think it was a great tweet by Sacktown Pete. I think he hit the hammer, or the nail right on the head of the hammer there with that one. And I really do think that Terence Davis is going to be a major focal point or centerpiece for this team coming off the bench for the whole season.
Yeah, I totally agree. So, Calvin, who are you picking to win that Blazers game?
I'm picking the Kings, obviously, right? I'm wearing a Kings jersey,
season.
am I not?
Yeah, I mean, they started out, 2-0 last season and then went on a little losing streak, but I'm expecting them to start out strong again, so happy about that. Let's move on here to the to the next game. I want to talk about the first 6 games of the season, all in October. Game 2 is going to be the Kings' home opener against the Jazz. I know they mentioned in the pregame show that guess who? Montel Jordan will be doing the halftime show. And crazy connection here, right? Montel Jordan and Doug Christie were actually roommates in college. So
pretty wild.
Very interesting, right? The connections, they're there, right? It's weird.
Yep.
So he's going to be opening up. We all know how good the Jazz were last year. They end up falling apart late in the season into playoffs. But another big team with defense, great shooting. How are you feeling about the Jazz this year?
I think they should be. Maybe they won't be the number 1 seed in the West again, but they're definitely one of the top 4 or 5 teams in the West. I don't see how you can take that away from them. They brought literally everyone back. They re-signed Mike Conley, which was one of the biggest off-season moves probably across the entire NBA landscape. Everyone wanted Mike Conley. The Lakers were in on him. The Clippers were in on him. But he decided to go back to Utah. They got a great team. They can shoot the lights out from outside. They really share the ball well. They play really well together as a team, and they're great at home. So luckily the Kings get them early in the year in Sacramento as opposed to having to go to Salt Lake City. But that's going to be a tough game no matter how you slice it throughout the whole year. The Jazz are legit.
Yeah, they are a really good team. I don't know, man. I don't know about that. My Kings fan inside of me says the Kings can win this game, and obviously they can. There's a reason that they play the games, but it is going to be another tough matchup. Bringing in guys like Alex Len is going to help them slow down a guy like Rudy Gobert. Tristan Thompson's going to help them get a little bit more rebounds. Davion Mitchell can help them lock down some of these guards. So I think it's going to be a really competitive game. But I'm going Kings. I think we're going to start out 2-0 again.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Kings have the talent to beat any team in this league on any given night. It's just going to be a matter of how much better have they gotten defensively? Can they withstand these big runs? Can they guard the 3-point line better as a team? Those are the things they struggled on most last year. And can they not only just hold a team to one shot, can they get the rebound, and turn it into early offense on the other end? So,
yep, totally agree. So we're going to break down the other 4 games here, and then after that, we're going to jump into cowbell questions. So if you guys have any questions that you want us to answer, go ahead and drop it in the chat there, and we'll go through those and answer any of your questions, try and give our insights. And if you have anything that you want us to mention, go ahead and put it there in the chat. All right, so moving on here, we have the next game against the Golden State Warriors. This is another game at home, so 2 games at home, Friday and Sunday, the 22nd and the 24th. The Warriors team is a big question mark for me. We've all seen how good this team can be. They went to, 5 straight finals or something like that.
Yep.
And then injuries derailed. Klay Thompson seems to be healthy. Draymond Green's getting a little bit older. I don't know if he's going to be able to make a 3 this season. But, having a guy like Steph Curry on your team, you don't really need many other guys to do that. We saw Andrew Wiggins.
And Klay Thompson.
And Klay Thompson. We saw Andrew Wiggins, resolve his vaccine issue, so he's going to be available for the team. A guy like James Wiseman is another big question mark for me. I was a huge James Wiseman fan coming out of college, working with Penny Hardaway. He looked like he was going to be one of the most NBA-ready guys. And then he went on this Warriors team and struggled, ended up getting benched. And then they had a great draft this year, drafting 2 of the guys that you wanted the Kings to draft.
Yes.
So how do you feel about this Warriors team, and what are your chances the Kings could pull out another victory here and start out 3-0?
Well, honestly, I'm worried about the Warriors overall, not just for that individual game, but for the entire season. Like you mentioned, I loved what they did in the draft. I think they went out and they got potentially the best overall player in the draft at number 7 in Jonathan Kuminga. Then they took Moses Moody at 14, who's a guy that I would have loved. If the Kings didn't take Davion Mitchell, I would have loved to have seen him in Sacramento as well. They're young, but they also have a mix of, championship caliber veterans in Steph and Klay and Draymond. This team could either elevate themselves to one of the, top 5 teams in the Western Conference, especially if Steph has another MVP type season like he did last year, or they could somehow, fall, maybe Klay Thompson isn't as ready to play as the Warriors or himself would like to be, and they stay somewhere around the 8, 9, 10 play-in range. But I'm definitely worried about this team. I think they could make a huge step forward.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think this Warriors team is got a lot of pent-up emotions over the last couple years, and they're ready to start blowing teams out. So, unfortunately, it pains me to say this, but I don't think the Kings are going to be able to pull this game out. It might as well be a home game for Warriors. You saw how many Lakers fans were at the game tonight. It's a really short drive, so it's going to be a close one, but I think the Warriors are probably going to end up pulling out a victory in this game.
3-point shooting is going to be the thing to watch in that game, right?
Yep.
If the Kings, and they certainly have the capability to do it, if they shoot 37 to 40% from 3, they could keep pace, if not even outpace the Warriors for the whole game. But 3-point percentage is definitely going to be something to watch in that game.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. All right, so moving on to next Wednesday, the 27th, Kings go down to Phoenix to face the Suns. I know the Kings defeated them in their first preseason game this year. Chris Paul's getting a little bit older. We saw the drama surrounding DeAndre Ayton and his contract extension. How are you feeling about this game?
This is another, it's a tough schedule to start the season, but we talked about it also in a previous podcast. That's what life is like when you play in perhaps the toughest division in the entire NBA. You're gonna, not only are you in the Western Conference, but you're in the Pacific Division, which is absolutely loaded. I mean, all of these teams, I think you could make a case that have a legitimate playoff contention spot. So do they have the capability to win this game? Absolutely. But we're going to have to see. It's early on in the year. It's tough to predict. Obviously, the Kings are playing well right now, but the rotation is going to get shorter. The lineups are gonna shift a little bit. Luke Walton's going to tinker things down and make a more concise everyday lineup, which means guys are going to get less minutes. Davion Mitchell's probably not going to play 30 minutes a game, stuff like that. So it'll be really interesting to see. And Chris Paul's health is always the thing to watch. So he sat out, the majority, if not every preseason game this preseason. So I think the Suns will be ready to go. They're obviously in a good position to build off of last year, having a pretty young team themselves and making the NBA Finals. So another tough game.
I'm really excited to see the matchup between Davion Mitchell and Chris Paul in this game. We all know
Davion Mitchell against pretty much any point guard in this league. I'm excited to see. There are so many great point guards, and if you're built as this phenomenal on-ball defender, how could you not love to watch him go against some of the best ball handlers in the league? Kyrie, Steph, Chris Paul, all these guys. So
yeah, and a tough 4-game lineup for him, right? You start out against Dame Lillard, then you go against Mike Conley, then Steph Curry, and then Chris Paul.
Welcome to the NBA.
De'Aaron Fox is ready. He's played against all these guys before, but I think this is going to be the welcome to the NBA moment for Davion Mitchell, and I'm excited to see him step up to the plate. 4 years in college, he's won at every level. This guy is definitely ready for the moment. So he's not a normal rookie. So we'll see what happens there. I think I'm gonna flip the Christie coin on this one and see who we got. You want to call it for Kings victory?
Oh, I'll go Christie's head all day.
All right, we got Kings tails. All right, whatever that means. Okay, let's jump here into Kings Pelicans. This is in New Orleans. I think they're having games back there, right? They just got welcomed back to their arena after the storms and all that stuff. There is a little bit of drama surrounding Zion and whether he wants to be with this team long term. We all saw what happened with Anthony Davis. No more Drew Holiday. Lonzo Ball is gone. Brandon Ingram had a great season last year,
Eric Bledsoe is gone.
I've seen a ton of trade rumors surrounding him. So how are you feeling about this Kings Pelicans matchup? And this might actually be a preview for this 10, 9, 8 spot.
Yeah, exactly. You took the words right out of my mouth. This is the team that the Kings have to overtake if they're going to make the playoffs. I mean, not just, obviously they have to beat out more than just one team, but in my eyes, these two teams are the two in the Western Conference that are middle to lower half of the pack as of last year, that have the best potential chance to make the next step up and to get into the playoffs, right? So this is the team that you've got to beat them if you're going to make that 8, 9, 10 slot or higher than that. This is one of the teams you have to overtake. They really struggled last year defending Zion. The Kings were definitely not the only team that really struggled defending Zion, but they've got to figure out a way to close the paint off a little bit more against him. I think this year it'll be a little easier because they don't necessarily have the guys that stretch the floor like they did last year with Lonzo, who has become a really good three-point shooter in his own right. They lost Eric Bledsoe, another guy who handles the ball outside for them. But I do really love Trey Murphy. He was their first-round draft pick this year. I think they took him at number 20 or something like that. He had a great preseason as well and is an excellent outside shooter. So that's definitely somebody they have to look out for. But I think this is a team that they should definitely beat.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm calling a W on this one as well. And that brings us to our last game in October. October 31st, Kings at Mavericks. This is a tough game. We all know about the Doncic situation. He has been playing lights out for them until they get to the playoffs and Porzingis gets injured or somebody else gets injured and he's got to carry the team, ends up putting up incredible numbers, but the team doesn't win. So
unless they play the Clippers. But.
Yeah, unless they play the Clippers. So, is this a game where Marvin's going to finally step up and want to prove himself that he is worthy of that number 2 pick and that he was better than Luka Doncic, or is Luka going to put on another show and show the Kings why they should have drafted him?
Yeah, we'll have to see. I think that the Kings overall, from top to bottom on their roster, they have more talent, I would say, than this Mavericks team. It's just a question of Luka and Porzingis, right? If they come and ball out, each of them could go for 30 on any given night, But I think Harrison Barnes is a guy that we haven't really talked about much in the preseason. Part of that is because we just know what to expect from him at this point. He's one of the linchpins on this team. But this is a guy, not only did he play on this Mavericks team, so he has an inside, look to what they do. But I believe that he is a type of person that they'll lean on heavily in games like that, not just offensively, but defensively. They can throw him at Luka. They can throw him on, a variety of guys. So I think he'll be very important for the Kings in that matchup.
Yeah, I totally agree. And, I'm gonna take a homer move here and pick the Kings again on this one. So for me, I think the Kings are probably going to start out
6-0.
No, I'm 4-2. I think they'll lose that game against the Warriors. We'll see about that game against the Suns. I think the Christie coin predicted a Suns victory. So I'm going to go 4-2 to start out the season, and I'm totally okay with that.
I think every Kings fan should be happy with that. That's not an easy 6-game stretch there. So,
yeah. All right. So a couple announcements I wanted to make here. Just some interesting things I heard during the show, which should give some hope to us Kings fans. This is the Kings' first full training camp with Luke Walton. Year 1, they went to India to showcase the team and try and expand the NBA's reach globally. And year 2 is COVID. So we saw how much progression they made this year. Obviously, having guys like Doug Christie and Bobby Jackson leading them to a Summer League championship has helped this team. But I know it's just the preseason, but 4-0 in this last victory against a full stacked Lakers squad is huge for me. So it gives me a lot of positive feelings towards the season. We've both been, we've both talked a lot of smack about Luke and his team and what that's going to mean for this team this season. But the players love him. They love to play for him. And we're starting to finally see some success from this Kings team. So I think that gives me a lot of positives. Hold on, I just lost one of my headphones here. That gives me a lot of positives going into this season and something you all should know. So first full off season and training camp with this Kings squad for Luke Walton. So that's very positive there. Also, the Kings were top 5 last year in scoring from the pick and roll from the roll man position. And mainly that was because of Rashawn Holmes, that little hook shot or that little push shot that he has. We saw him use it again tonight. And the Kings were able to re-sign him on a team-friendly deal. So I think we'll continue to see that into this upcoming season. And as they push the pace and run faster and faster and they score more and they get better shots, I think that's only going to improve. And then I want to give a couple shout-outs here. We have a couple new members to the Kings media team. Doug Christie did move to the coaching staff, so that opened up a couple positions there. I want to welcome Matt Barnes, Kenny Thomas, and Morgan Reagan from Deuce and Mo. All joined the Kings media team. We know Matt and Kenny both played for the Sacramento Kings. And Morgan was a play-by-play or a color commentator for the Stockton Kings. So really exciting to see those guys moving up and joining the Kings media team family. Many of you do watch Deuce and Mo. Calvin and I watch it as well. We encourage you all to subscribe to their podcast. Anybody that talks about the Kings and loves the Kings is a friend of ours. So make sure you guys follow her. It was really cool seeing her talk a little bit after the game today. All right, so let's jump in here to some comments and sessions for fans. Carlos says, no Bagley tonight. Calvin, you want to talk about that guy?
He better show up in the regular season. I mean, that's all I can say. It still remains to be seen what type of role he's going to have on this team. I think he'll end up being the opening night starter at power forward. But a big question for me is how many minutes a game does he play? He started last year, but he only played about 25 minutes a game, and he wasn't on the court for, big portions of the fourth quarter when the game is on the line, right? So
and this is right. He was
and some knee soreness, yeah, which is always, any type of soreness or injury news related to Marvin Bagley, even if it's a hangnail, Kings fans are going to be super worried about, right? Because he's missed so many games. But if it's going to go right for Marvin Bagley, this is the year, because it's a contract year for him. This is the year where maybe the Kings turn the corner and make the playoffs. So if we're going to see the number 2 pick out of Duke like we expected to, now is the time.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And, I guess on a side subject, when we were at FanFest, I'm sure many of you that weren't there saw the videos of Tyrese singing and Davion singing as well. I was really surprised we didn't see Marvin Bagley. He was out there on the court. He's a rapper. Why didn't we see him drop some bars during FanFest, huh?
Because he already gets paid to do it. There's no reason.
All right. Joseph said he was talking about turnovers, not timeouts. Sorry, Joseph. I was just trying to put another shot at Calvin and his Michigan alumni.
Yeah, Barry loves to jab me for that one. So,
but yes, he does need to work on his turnovers. Davion, a lot of positives from his game, but he still is a rookie, so he's still got a ton to work on in his game. You look at a guy like LeBron James, who's been in the league forever. He's got nothing to prove to anybody. Still continues to work on his game in the offseason. Still has things he can improve on. So, Davion's a young player, but he's still got a ton to work on.
Definitely. And that's the last part of Davion's game that he's got to develop. He has always been a score first guard, not necessarily a true playmaking point guard. But I think being on a team with De'Aaron Fox and Tyrese Haliburton is going to help him in that regard a ton.
And Skip and Tosh says he gambled in the paint twice, left his man, and got called for 2 3-second defensive violations. Yeah. I mean, that goes along the same lines, right? Young player, wants to make an impact, wants to do something, wants to show people he belongs. So, I think as he gets more playing time, as the game slows down a little bit for him, he's going to make better decisions. He's going to watch game film. He's going to talk with the coaching staff, and he'll clean that up. I'm pretty certain of that. All right, 209 Kings, Stockton, Lodi area. Where did I get my hat from? This is an old hat. I've had it for maybe 4 or 5 years. I got it from lids.com. They got me. I signed up for the membership and to get a discount on one hat, and I ended up buying like 10 different Kings hats, and this was one of them. Haven't seen anybody else wearing it, so really cool. Really, really cool. I wore it to FanFest, so if you saw me, I was wearing it. All right, Terence Davis in those threes. Yeah, 6 threes tonight. Terence Davis playing big. Carlos says Barnes' presence was big factor as well as Tristan Thompson.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself. I think they're going to be big presences all season long. Obviously Harrison is one of the best players on this team, veteran leadership as well as his talent. The Kings are only going to go as far as he and De'Aaron Fox take them.
Yep, for sure. Afghanistan baby, oh yeah. I don't think that's your real name, but what's up? Thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching the show. Terence Davis was looking to shoot threes tonight. He sure was. And why wouldn't you?
He's going to be looking to shoot threes every night. Yeah.
All right, let's see. Carlos says Rashawn Holmes' effort was relentless. Mo Harkless also held it down.
Yeah, hopefully we can say that not just about two Kings players, but the entire team for this entire season. That's one of the things that's going to take them to that next level is effort defensively every night.
Yeah, and Luke Walton's not just starting Mo Harkless for no reason. There's a reason he's out there on the court. All right, let's see. Joseph wants to know if we've been drinking. I have not. Maybe that's the problem.
I have.
Dirt and Russ says Len didn't play much tonight. Why do you think, Kyle?
Oh, Alex Len?
Only 6 minutes for Alex Len tonight. 19 minutes for Tristan Thompson. Is it
Yeah,
that is strange considering the Lakers are so big, right?
Yeah, I mean, it could be a lot of things. Obviously this is a preseason game, so I'm not really sure, how much stock you take in any one player's minutes of any preseason game. It's going to change as the season goes on and we get farther and farther into the regular season. Maybe he just felt like Alex Len didn't give him the best chance to win, or he was going with the hot hand, or he liked a specific matchup elsewhere. It does make traditional sense to play big on big, but I'm gonna leave this to Luke Walton. I think he knows what he's doing, and he was just trying to narrow down his rotation and his lineups a little bit better going into the regular season.
Yeah, it's one thing about having a real deep team, right, is not everyone's going to get to play a lot of minutes. So
yeah,
I'll take the victory. I think Luke made the right decision tonight because Kings win. Carlos says Buddy with some clutch threes. Yeah, I saw that deep three late in the game. That was great. Love to see him shooting threes. I always feel like it's going to go in, right?
Always.
All right. Dab says, I think Lakers are overrated. They are old and big. Let's see how you feel during the playoffs.
Yeah. Don't forget, last year Jordan won his 6th title. Every player in the starting lineup was over 30 on that team. So before you call the Lakers too old, they're experienced, and they got a lot of good players. So.
Yep, they do, unfortunately. Yes, the Giants were playing tonight. I'm sure a lot of fans were tuning into that. They lost to the Dodgers 2-1. It's okay. We're A's fans over here, so go A's.
Moneyball.
All right. Carlos says the Lakers had their moments, but not enough for the quicker, younger team. Reminds me of when the Lakers picked up Karl Malone and Gary Payton to go along with Kobe and Shaq.
Oh, wow. Well, that team made
analogy.
the NBA Finals. So,
yeah, still a good analogy.
If you want to hate on them, they came pretty close to winning the whole thing. So, and remember, Karl Malone wasn't even healthy for that final series. So, I think the Lakers would be happy to have a similar season to that one.
Thanks, Sean. We appreciate the shout out. Love to have you here. We just love talking Kings. We just have fun. Normally we're here in the studio. We have the whole setup. We're drinking beers and having fun. Calvin is doing a secret mission scouting for Monty in a college town yet to be named. So we're just having a lot of fun here and happy to celebrate another Kings victory. 4-0, baby, 4-0. Kevin says, did Haliburton just look scared out there today? I felt like he was extra shy.
You can go ahead and take that one.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. You know, there's only one ball when you're playing a bunch of guards. You know, not everyone's going to get the ball all the time. 23 minutes tonight, only 5 shots, but 6 rebounds and 3 assists. So he was definitely involved. But you know, he's a young player. Not everyone has their A game every night. Kings still win, so happy there. What up, Lane? Thanks for joining us. All right, Cal, I think we're going to wrap it up here. I know it's late where you are. Anything else you want to mention?
Yes. Just very happy with the way the preseason went for the Kings. You know, I think they really played very well. They put on a good show as a team. And I think Luke Walton got exactly what he wanted out of this team in the preseason. He messed around with lineups. He played a bunch of different guys together, which is exactly what he said he was going to do. The defensive effort was there. So I think there's a ton of things for the Kings to build on going into the regular season.
Yeah, totally agree. I'm so excited for the season to start. Make sure you guys check me out tomorrow night. I will be on Sacktown Pete's podcast. Make sure you guys like this video, subscribe to the channel. We're pushing the Kings to the playoffs this season, and we're going to have a lot of fun while we're doing it. We'll catch you all Wednesday after the Blazers game. Hopefully another victory. Sorry, Lane. The Kings are going to scrape them. All right, guys. Have a good night. Thanks for joining us. And in the meantime, go Kings.
Go Kings.